Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is my 2019 Toyota Tacoma. And this is a 2012 Toyota Tacoma. And today I'm going to compare these two generations for you guys in case you're kind of torn between them. You know, recently I was on YouTube looking for a generational comparison of the Tacomas, and I was really surprised to find that there really wasn't a lot of videos on them. And the cool thing with my YouTube channel is I have the resources and abilities to be able to do a video like this. So without further ado, I'm going to be comparing these two trucks for you guys. Which one has a better engine? Which one has a better interior? Which one's better for escaping the collapsing underground lair of an evil villain? You know, just in case you happen to find yourself in the situation where you've just gotten out of his death trap and after a short hand-to-hand fight, you push him into his own pool of sharks, thus eliminating him as a threat, but the volcano is still collapsing around you, so you run to the underground parking garage where you find the only two vehicles left are a 2012 and a 2019 Toyota Tacoma with the keys on the wall, thus leaving you with the decision which one would be a more viable option to escape this self-destructing volcano. I know for me personally that question has left me with a lot of sleepless nights, but don't you worry, I'm a man of the people and I'm here to answer those tough, hard-hitting questions. Also, we'll figure out which one has nicer seats or whatever. Underneath the hoods on both of these trucks, the 2012 Tacoma is powered by a 4-liter V6, making 236 horsepower and 266 foot-pound of torque, while the 2019 Toyota Tacoma is powered by a 3.5-liter V6, making 278 horsepower and 265 foot-pound of torque. Interestingly, the 2012 has 1 foot-pound of torque better than the 2019, but the 2019 definitely wins in horsepower. It really clobbers it with that 3.5 V6, though I think this is going to be the most contested part of the video because the 2005 to 2015 models of these Tacomas really had an incredibly bulletproof engine and transmission, which these 2016 to 2020 models so far do not have as reliable as transmissions. They kind of have some shifting issues. They kind of shift at weird positions, and the engine is not as tested long-term as the 2005 to 2015 engine is. I'm gonna give the point to the 2012 Tacoma here. This thing has an incredibly bulletproof engine, and this 2019 just isn't as tested yet. And so without arguing, I will agree this has the better engine and transmission in it off the bat. Now moving on to the profiles and the overall exterior appearances of these trucks, this is going to be a very subjective category. Obviously, I'm going to like what I'm going to like, and you might like something different. I know a lot of people that like the second gens, a lot of people that are like, no, the third gens are the better looking ones, but I'm going to do my best here to be objective and just compare what these two trucks have in common and what they don't have in common. This is a TRD Sport trim, and this is an SR5 trim. So there are some similarities and there's some differences here. But what I really like is, since this TRD Sport's a little bit older, they've moved some of the technology of that into this SR5, so it's actually almost pretty level. At the same time, the owner of this truck purchased this TRD Sport for about the same price that I got my SR5 at. So I think this is probably at the moment the most level comparison of an older to newer truck technology-wise. So starting out with the 2012, you have these nice off-road tires. I don't really love these wheels compared to the 2019's wheels, but again, that's my opinion. Moving on here, you still do have a traditional antenna that's sticking up. The 2019 only has a shark fin. This one does have a shark fin though for the XM signal, so you have a traditional antenna and the shark fin. That's all crammed into the shark fin on the 19. You do have a turn signal indicator on here, something my SR5 does not have on its mirror cap. Both of them have the Toyota badge on the lower part of the front door. It is the same Toyota badge, so as you'll see here, I'll kind of try to point it out as we go. There's a lot of very similar carryover parts from the older generation to the newer one, stuff you might not notice immediately, but I'm going to try to point out here. Running boards on this one, body color door handles. Interestingly, we'll get to this really quick, driver's side grab handle on this 2012 model. All the way up until 2015, the Tacomas had a driver's side grab handle, but somehow on the 16 Plus, they don't have a driver's side grab handle. And I sort of get it. Some people in the comments say, oh, will it tests better in crash safety tests if there isn't a grab handle there? I get it though. I'm buying a Tacoma. I want a driver's side grab handle. Come on. Moving back here, this TRD Sport does have the 6-foot box. Mine has the 5-foot box. We'll move to the back in a little bit in the beds of the towing and payload capacity. Last thing of note back here is this does have the TRD Sport sticker on there. Moving on to my Tacoma, as I mentioned, I like my wheels a little bit better. I actually do have the same running boards. Mine are not chrome though. I do not have the turn signal indicator as I mentioned, but I do have the body color door handles, Tacoma, and then I have the SR5 chrome badge right here. If this was an SR5 trim, that would also have the SR5 chrome on there. But since it's the TRD, you get the sticker on the back, and I do not have a sticker. I happen to like the looks, the more aggressive nature of my third generation one. I definitely think this updated second generation has a much more aggressive look to it than the pre-refreshed second generation Tacoma. But I think in the looks category, in my opinion, I'm gonna give this to the Tacoma. Not really keeping score here. I wouldn't say one of them is gonna win overall compared to another one, but in my opinion, I think the third generation looks a little sharper, looks a little bit sleeker. The fog lights are actually the same. The headlights, the grille designs, that's different. You're also gonna get a fake hood scoop on the TRD Sport. Interestingly, that fake hood scoop carries over to the third generation. You get the hood scoop, still fake on the third generation. It does not do anything. It's purely aesthetic, which is interesting. And then my third generation, since it is a 19, starting in 2018, they started doing Toyota Safety Sense in the grille, so the Toyota badge is actually a sensor for the Toyota Safety Sense. You do have cameras up here. This 2012 model just has the traditional Toyota badge right there. I think that's pretty much it for the profile exterior front designs. Let's move to the back. Moving on to the backs of the trucks and the beds, this is where the trucks kind of, they're weird. They're weird in the back here. What they kept and what they took away for the 2019 model, it's weird. So let's start out with the towing and the payload capacity. Payload capacity for this guy is 1,280 pounds. Payload for this is 1,620, so you do get a bump in payload even though this is the 5-foot box, this is the 6-foot box. Also, this is a towing capacity of up to 6,800 pounds. While this doesn't seem right, but this is everywhere online I could find it. This is what it told me the towing capacity for this was, so correct me if I'm wrong if you own a second gen Tacoma. It says the towing capacity is only 3,500 pounds. That seems wrong to me. Maybe that's what it is though, or maybe all the websites I checked were just copying each other and they were incorrect. But 3,500 pounds, 6,800 pounds, so if that's true, drastic jump in towing capacity for the third generation of Tacoma. They both use the composite bed liner, which I think is great. Basically, instead of it being a liner, it's actually a composite bed. So my mistake, it's the whole bed, so you're not running the risk of rusting in these Tacomas. So these really hold up, and as you can see, this Tacoma is really beat up, definitely used in the back here, and the bed liner's still holding up. It's scratched, but really I don't see many places where it's like dented or dinged in. And my Tacoma, as you guys know, I use for landscaping, and it's already kind of getting scratched and dinged up. But really, I've had no dents or anything in it. It's really, really held up really well over the first year that I've owned this. And I'm sure, as evidenced by this 2012, which was purchased brand new by the owner, this bed liner is going to hold up really well. Sorry, the bed's going to hold up really well. It seems like, feels like a bed liner, so I think I'm just inclined to jump to saying bed liner. Moving on, we both have bed mats back here. That is not an option from the factory. That's something you can add on later, like a dealer option, the bed mats. They're really great. I don't know, I can't speak for the owner, but mine's been really great. I'm sure this one has been too. Here's where the trucks diverge a little bit. This gets weird, storage space. So on the 2012, you have a cubby over here, and you can open that up and you got some storage space inside. On the other side, you get a power outlet and a smaller cubby, and then moving even further back, you get two cubbies like above the wheel wells here. So a lot of storage options. Moving to the 2019, on this side, where there is a cubby on the other side, no cubby here, just nothing. There is a cubby on this side of the Tacoma. So you might be saying to yourself, oh, well, maybe you have to get a higher trim to get a cubby on that side. Nope, because I've reviewed the 2019 Toyota Tacoma Limited, which is the highest trim of the truck. And on the Limited, you only get the power outlet and the smaller cubby on that side. So my guess is when they redesigned the truck, something goes in here. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's probably something in the bodywork that is not allowing them to have this cubby on this side. But it's interesting because it's the same bed, it's the same bed design, but they have a cubby on that side. I just think it would be nicer to have a second cubby because cramming everything on my 2019 into that, not great. Also, no storage bins above the wheel wells. What's up with that, Toyota? That's kind of funky, but whatever. That's where the truck's really diverse. It's interesting that they took that all away, probably in service of the body style and the design would be my guess, because if, you know, they're really parts sharing a lot across these trucks, but what doesn't carry over is kind of odd. You'd think that those, if you're using your pickup truck and you're using the storage and stuff, you'd want more storage options in the bed of your truck, but I digress. Moving on, we both have aftermarket tonneau covers on here. I would suggest a tonneau cover. Really, really interestingly, if we close the beds here, the 2012 does not have a lock on the bed at all. There is no option from the factory for a lock on the 2012 Toyota Tacoma bed, all the way up to 2015, if I'm not mistaken. That's insane. That's crazy. Me and the owner were looking for one. We're like, oh, we've never really thought of the lock. Oh, wow. Backup camera. There's a backup camera on this 2012. No lock on the bed. Now, I complained recently in my 1-year update video how I had to manually lock the Toyota Tacoma's bed. I didn't even realize you weren't even getting a lock on the 2012, so I guess I should be thankful for what I have on this 2019. Hopefully for the 2022 or whatever the redesigned Tacoma will be, that has a locking tailgate with the rest of the truck. But that's crazy. So a lot of aftermarket locking companies that I found online that provide an aftermarket lock for this truck, but nothing from the factory. Also, 2012 traditional truck bed. Some guys really like that truck bed, slams down. This one on the 2019 does have a dampened tailgate. I'll be honest, I've used a lot of trucks in my day, done a lot of landscaping and a lot of moving stuff. I definitely prefer the dampened tailgate. I think it works a lot better. Let's move inside. Moving into the interior, this is the 2012 Tacoma. What I've decided to do is show you guys all the features in here and then kind of compare back and forth the similarities and dissimilarities between the two trucks. If you're looking for a full comprehensive interior review of my truck, I just did a 1-year update video and I have an original video where I review my truck and why I purchased it instead of other ones. So I just feel like it's a little repetitive if I do another full interior overview of my truck. So we'll just kind of cut back and forth between them. Moving into the gauge cluster, the biggest difference between the 2012 and the 2019 is the 12 has all traditional gauges. It has a 3-gauge setup. On the 2019 Tacoma, it has 2 gauges and a center screen. Now, I personally prefer that center screen, but with the older technology of this one, there's less stuff to break. Moving down here, your steering wheel, the steering columns for the turn signals and the windshield wipers are the same. Those are also carryover parts, as is the steering wheel, but the 2019 gets a little bit more modernized steering wheel with all the Toyota Safety Sense buttons implemented into it, as well as the addition of a little bit newer Bluetooth call and hang up buttons on there. And then the cruise control stock is also a carryover from this 2012 onto the 2019. Moving into the center stack here, you do get a much larger screen on the 2019. This looks like it's about a 4-inch, maybe a 4.5-inch on this 2012. Something I desperately have to show you, I just discovered before I got in here. I did not know this before I was going to do this review. Now, my truck has an app integrated with navigation. So I wanted to kind of see if this truck had navigation, and it does. It has a built-in map on this TRD Sport. That's one of the features you get with it. You also get HD radio. Are you ready for this? This truck has Bing. This truck has Bing! Oh my goodness, my mind is blown. I could totally see Toyota doing like a Microsoft crossover deal. It says right here, charges may incur on your data plan, and you can go in here and it's super janky, incredibly old. If I had to describe this 2012 in one word, even though it's one of the mid to higher trims, it would be utilitarian. The textures in here are mostly hard touch, rubbery materials, and that definitely is on display with the shifter here. Very basic, very simple, gets the job done, it's gonna work. Well, alternatively on my 2019 model, it has like a leather wrap shifter. It also has a leather wrap steering wheel. This steering wheel feels like polyurethane, something. It's not leather, it's kind of some rubbery material. Again, utilitarian. But this is a very simple gear shifter as compared to the newer one where it's more luxurious and kind of more upper scale, even on a lower trim. Moving to the rear of the truck, it's so interesting to me how similar this back seat is to the back seat on my 2019. Almost everything carries over, like the cup holders, no air vents. I think this is even the same center console piece if I'm not mistaken. And then, interestingly, this has 2 rear seat pouches. Mine only has 1 rear seat pouch, but there is no fold down center armrest here. That's kind of a carryover, though the seats are different. And then as I previously mentioned, you do get a sliding window back here. It is the manually sliding window as opposed to the power one. Also on my Tacoma are the 2 coat hangers up here and the light back here. It's very similarly laid out. And then lifting up the seats here, it is the same storage bin situation on the 2019. So I can see they haven't really changed much over the years here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The door panels are different, and I would say the 2019 seating is a little bit more comfortable. Let's take these for a spin. I want to see how the 2012 compares engine-wise and transmission-wise, shifting especially on the highway, to the 2019. So driving the 2012 Toyota Tacoma, the first thing I know right off the bat is it feels like it has a little bit more of a commanding view than my 19 Tacoma. It just feels a tiny bit higher. It might be because of the TRD Sport. It might have a little bit lifted suspension. Overall though, it does feel like a truck. This definitely feels very trucky compared to my Tacoma. It's very broad, it's very brawny, you get a lot of engine noise. It does, I will say, it does appear to be shifting better. I almost feel like I'm driving like a box with a steering wheel. It's not terrible, but it definitely feels more boaty than my Tacoma does. All right, driving my 2019 Toyota Tacoma, it's definitely a different feeling. Like I said before, way more car-like, way more smooth how it handles. It's just, and I think at low and medium speeds, it's fine. Like it handles okay. You could definitely argue that, oh, well, the second generation is better because it uses less technology. The third generation's more likely to break down the road because it uses more technology, and that's detrimental to the reliability of the truck down the road. But Toyota tends to be very reliable with their technology, and again, they have some tech in this truck, but they don't cram it in as much as some of the other brands do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support on these videos, and I hope I could help you with your buying decision between the generations of Tacomas, if that's what you were looking for. And before I go, to answer everyone's burning question, I guess probably both of these would be viable options to escape a volcano that was collapsing. I think you really wouldn't even think about it. I think you'd just say, I gotta get out of here. We gotta escape. So, I mean, realistically, it's probably both. You could probably just use both trucks. You can, honestly, if there was like a golf cart, you'd probably use that. Just whatever is available to you to escape a volcano, if you ever happen to find yourself in that situation. But if you ever do happen to find yourself in that situation, I bet you'll be really happy you watched this YouTube video. All right, take care, guys. Have a great day. And as always, I hope your vehicle lasts you a long time and serves you well. If you have any prayer requests, leave them in the comments. And for the last time, I know I look like Ryan Reynolds. You don't have to keep telling me. Take care, guys.